All right, welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. And yesterday, I'm sure many of our viewers spent the late morning watching Sir Richard Branson blast off into space, near space. However, we don't need to debate what space is any more than we already have. But let's talk a little bit about what this flight means for Virgin Galactic and really what it means for the burgeoning space industry, where you have you have government contracts coming in, and now space tourism starting to take some shape. Sam Korus joins us now. He's an analyst over at ARK Invest. Sam, great to talk with you once again. Let's just start with kind of your thoughts on yesterday's event and maybe just what it means for Virgin specifically and their ambitions and how you think about them as a leader, I guess, in this space industry, which again starts to kind of mature before our eyes.
Sure. And I think, as you said, the first thing to do is just recognize, this was an awesome event, very exciting. And, as his message said in space, inspiring, not just us, but a whole new generation of kids to learn and dream big into the stars. And I think what we're really seeing is this shift into this new space race, which instead of being purely government driven, this is a commercial space race. And, in terms of Virgin Galactic specifically, this was a test flight. They're going to have another test flight. And then they hope to do commercial flights starting in early 2022. So this is really I would say, the next big step in the space race towards commercial travel. And that's a big moment.
Sam, is it a big enough moment to justify Virgin now at a market cap of $11 billion? And today they're coming out saying they want to sell more stock and raise more money.
Yeah, when we look at the space opportunity, I think what people look at with Virgin Galactic right now and their near-term opportunity is space tourism. And the way that a lot of people think about this is that, people are willing to spend 1% of their total net worth on an incredible experience. Space tourism would be one of those. And so, as costs come down, once you get into the $50,000 price point, is really when you see an inflection in demand for space tourism, according to our research. But also when we're doing our research, we think the real big opportunity is hypersonic point-to-point travel. And that would be not just going up and coming down as a kind of tourism experience, but say taking off from somewhere on the East Coast and getting to Japan in 2 to 3 hours as opposed to 14 hours. And we size that opportunity as a $270 billion market annually. So we really think this is the first step. Space tourism is the first step. Hypersonic point-to-point is this massive opportunity that a few people are going after.
When you say space tourism, Sam, does that ultimately mean Virgin should be valued the same as another airline? Should they be trading at the same market cap as a Delta, which is about $28 billion right now?
So I do think, Virgin Galactic, at least the way that they're presenting themselves, is they have the potential and they're pursuing a hypersonic goal, hypersonic point-to-point. I would say that most airlines are not necessarily geared up for this future-looking, innovation-driven. But I do think, at the same time, it's important to remember that this is a space race. And so, when we're looking at all these different companies, one of the key things we look at is rate of innovation. And, you definitely have differences in that pace between Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, SpaceX as well. And then you have a whole slew of these small launch rocket providers who are coming in. So I really think that, right now we're kind of seeing a boom in space activity, which is great. And it's exactly what, you want to see and a sign that the new space race is starting to happen.
Sam, you guys at ARK are well known for being early, sometimes very early. Sometimes one could argue too early on some of this. So I'm just wondering what the timeline is on, in particular, the hypersonic space travel or not space travel, but via space travel that you're talking about. And if there are any even companies that aren't public yet that you're looking to come public, and on what timeline to potentially be investments also.
Sure. When we talk about that, I think it's really looking at the 10-year time horizon. And I think, that is one of the things that differentiates ARK is that we are long-term investors and we do have this long-term time horizon. I did mention it earlier. SpaceX with the Starship is pursuing this. I think recently you heard that there's government contracts interested in maybe not just human travel, but it makes sense to do cargo as a first thing, deliver cargo, a huge amount of cargo to anywhere in the world in just a couple of hours there. Musk has been pretty straightforward with the SpaceX's coming public and has said that maybe Starlink would go public once they can predict future cash flows reasonably. And we've done a lot of work on Starlink there and hope to open source some of those models as well. And I think with anything space related, it is a huge amount of upfront investment. And that's what we're seeing. We've seen it with Virgin Galactic. Branson and company have put in over $1 billion just to get to where they are now. Same with Starlink. It's a huge upfront investment. And what we see with all of these technologies is this high upfront cost and then a technological driven cost decline that makes it more applicable and capable for any of us to afford. And that's really when we start to see these inflection points of adoption.
And Sam, I guess finally, just thinking bigger picture about how you analyze the space. There's a number of distinct opportunities. Tourism, we've got internet. Starlink is kind of pursuing that. You've got the colonization of the moon or Mars. There's cargo. There's government contracts you can pick up. Does it feel like we don't need to yet, though, worry about which of these companies pursues which opportunity most explicitly? And would there be a time at which you're starting to more materially, certainly there's a tendency for each company, but more materially say, this is only a play on X and that's only a play on Y?
I do think, there is a huge amount of opportunity, and it's likely that some of the biggest opportunities we haven't even thought about. I do think that there are, a lot of niches, and space is incredibly difficult. So it does require, I think, a lot of conscious effort and engineering in order to pursue these different opportunities. So I think, we can start to kind of see the general areas where each company is going. It's definitely possible for people to change their business models. But I do think, particularly with space, pivoting can be slightly more difficult than, say, for a software company there. So I think there's definitely, some unknown, amazing business opportunities out there. But with the existing companies, I think, we can see the typical path that they're trying to pursue and the goals they're hoping to achieve.
All right. Sam Korus, analyst, ARK Invest. Sam, always great to get your thoughts. Thanks for jumping on this morning. I know we'll talk soon.